I think my reactions for this episode could be summarized as this. What the fuck? Oh, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? Oh, what the fuck? Now, before I get into my Watchmen episode 7 review, I just gotta say, I just realized this past weekend that I just passed over 500 subscribers. And wow, I just gotta stop to say thank you guys for watching the videos. Thank you guys for commenting. For those of you that have shared my videos, that have liked the videos, thank you so much. Like, when I started this channel towards the end of February, I didn't know that I was gonna hit 500 subscribers, let alone hit 500 subscribers in less than a year. The reason I started this channel in the first place, because I enjoy talking about movies, video games, comic books. I just wanted to add my perspective to the giant pool of movie reviewers that are out there, because while there are a lot of black nerds out there, you don't really see that many black nerds, especially black women nerds, being given a voice in this YouTube internet space. That's why I appreciate voices like Mark Bernardin on Fat Man on Batman, Andre at Black Nerd Comedy, Jamie at Black Girl Nerds, Double Toasted, Sharonda from Pay Your Weight, and others. And on top of that, there aren't really that many gay movie, video game, comic book, TV show reviewers. And putting the intersectionality of that, black gay movie, TV, video game, comic book reviewers. And that's exactly why I chose the screen name BlackGayComicGeek, because I want all of my identities to be out there front and center so you know exactly what you're getting. And while no, I might not review a whole lot of comic books on this page, I am reading them, but the problem is comic books come out so frequently and there's so many of them that come out a week, I can't keep up and I'm not reading them in a timely manner as opposed to some other comic book related pages. So I'll just let those guys review those. I have the Marvel Unlimited app on my phone, and with that, like, I can't read anything new until 6 months later. So that's the main reason I'm not reviewing a lot of new comics like Marvel and DC and stuff on this page. But anyway, ultimately, I just want to say thank you guys. And while I may never get to the point that I start making money from YouTube, as long as you guys keep watching and commenting and liking the videos, I'm going to keep making videos. And hopefully, I inspire more people. If you're out there and you want to make a YouTube video, whatever the topic is, all you need is a phone and to press play. So if you're Native American, if you're Asian, whatever you are, if you want to make videos, just do it. And hopefully I can take this channel and go beyond plus ultra. I wonder how many people get that reference. So yeah, so Watchmen episode 7 entitled An Almost Religious all premiered this week. If you haven't been able to tell from the title of this video, I am going to be talking spoilers, 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 spoilers. If you haven't seen Watchmen episode 7 An Almost Religious all, go back and watch that because it was a fucking phenomenal episode, and come back here. Now this episode was directed by David Semmel, and he actually directed some episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel, so I like this guy already. And so the episode opens with a mini documentary about the life of Dr. Manhattan, for going from humble beginnings to basically godhood. And then you see a young Angela in what looks like the Vietnam version of Blockbuster. And so she picks up a movie called Sister Night, a nun with a motherfucking gun. And that's when you realize that's the origin of her vigilante name. And you get to meet both of her parents, her father, who was the son of Will, telling her that she's too young to watch the Sister Nun movie because Sister Nun is a person in a mask and you shouldn't glorify people in masks. Going to the trauma that he experienced in the last episode, he tried to emulate his father and be like Hooded Justice, but his father freaked out, and so because of that, he's had a scar on his heart against masked vigilantes, and so he doesn't want his daughter following in those footsteps. And you eventually get to my first what the fuck moment. Angela's parents died in a terrorist attack right in front of her eyes, and I was just like, damn, this woman has been through some trauma. No wonder she wears a mask. Going back to something that Lori Blake said to her a couple episodes ago, people that wear a mask are often trying to hide pain. She's been through so much pain. Even if you add on the genetic pain that passed on from Will to her, jeez, I'm surprised this woman isn't laid up in therapy somewhere. And with that, that's when she wakes up from her dream. She falls out of bed, and that's when this episode matches with the end of last episode, where she wakes up in Lady True's research facility. You find out that it was Special Agent Blake that contacted Lady True to try to help wake Angela up because she was in a coma. She wasn't doing well, and since the nostalgia pills were created by Lady True, she figured that Lady True might be able to help in the ways that the other doctors that were treating her couldn't. And it turned out that, yeah, she could. And in an awesome way to literally inject some exposition into this episode, where you get to find out what exactly Lady True did, she basically injects Angela with a commercial. And the commercial kind of tells you what she's doing to help Angela and how she's injecting her with some type of special nanites, and the nanites are going to help remove the nostalgia from her system. And so with that, you also find out while Angela is being purged of her grandfather's memories, it's going to cause a rush of her own memories memories to hit her all at once. That's just a cute way of the writers and director of this episode to get some exposition regarding Angela's backstory. And I really like that because with any property, movie, TV show, video game, comic book, you always have to have exposition. It's always interesting to see the different ways people will inject that exposition into a property. And literally in this episode, she's injected with exposition. And I really enjoyed the way it's been playing out. And the directing in this episode in particular is on par with the directing from last week's episode, with the interspersements between Angela's flashbacks and Will's flashbacks and how they coalesce with each other. Like, I enjoyed this episode a lot. Maybe not as much as the last episode, but these episodes are not that far apart from each other. So Angela's treatment is she's connected to a tube from what's called a natural host that's injected her with spinal fluid to basically wash out Will's memories. So Angela assumes, and I'm pretty sure the rest of the audience assumes, because I know I did, that Will was probably that natural host, and so she wants to see her grandfather. And I'll get to that later of what that natural host is, because again, that was another what the fuck moment. And so Cal shows up being the great husband that he is to try to see his wife, but he's stopped at the gate by Beyond, and she's basically telling him like, no, you can't come in. We're about to activate the Millennium Clock. What you do hear an announcement in the background saying it's been 12 hours until the activation of the Millennium Clock, which I'm still just like, what does this clock do? Like, I'm so curious. Granted, we got 2 more episodes left, so we're gonna get the reveal at some point. I just really want to know what this clock does. And so Cal ends up being turned away, and so he's looking for Detective Blake, and that's when you find out that Detective Blake almost knows everything that Angela experienced while she was on her nostalgia trip, because Angela talked a lot in her sleep. And so now she knows the man that inspired her mother, her, and all the people that she knew to be masked vigilantes, Hooded Justice, was a black man. Agent Blake confronts Chief Judd's wife and basically comes clean to say, I think I know who killed your husband. And she reveals that Hooded Justice was a black man, and she says the line that I was like, yes, bravo, you better speak that word, where she was like, a white man in a mask is considered a hero, but you put a black man in a mask, he's considered scary. And his wife was like, yeah, thank God times have changed. And when she said that line, I was like, have they? Bullshit, times have changed. But eventually, yeah, you find out that the wife was in on it. And while she's trying to press the button to get the trap door to work, and they focus on the remote where it says Wilson. I don't know if that's an Easter egg or something like that, but if somebody knows, let me know down in the comment section below. But when she obviously confessed that that she's part of the plot, that she knows all about it, and she's trying to do whatever she's trying to do to Lori, I was looking at Lori, I was like, why are you sitting there? Get up! Like, she's obviously trying to do something to you. Move! But she doesn't move, and in a very X-Men comic booky type of way, she gets trapped into a trap door. And oh, I forgot, I missed something. Before she confronts Chief Judd's wife, Petey calls her, and you find out that, yay, Looking Glass is still alive because he took out all the Rorschachs that came to kill him in, I believe, episode 5, and now he's on the run. Interestingly enough, despite all the racial issues, the KKK, the Cyclops, and all the race talk within this show, it was the scene between Angela and Beyond that got me the most triggered that I've ever been watching this entire series. Why? Because I don't know if it was just me or if it was anybody else, but did you guys notice, or were you bothered by that booger that was in the actress that was playing Beyond's nose while she was talking to Angela? The whole time I was like, there are so many people on set. Nobody noticed that this little girl has a booger in her nose? Call cut! Like, what are you doing? It reminded me of like the Game of Thrones Starbucks cup. I was like, take out the booger from your nose. Like, my first viewing, I could barely concentrate on what was going on because all I was doing is staring at that booger in her nose. It was during that scene that Beyond says something that triggers another memory for Angela to jump back into her childhood. You don't want your children to know you're a cop. Why are you a cop? And you find out why she did become a cop. What set her on the path to becoming a cop? And Angela was pretty bloodthirsty from the very beginning, to the fact that she wanted to watch Sister Night, the nun with the motherfucking gun. The Vietnamese cops confront her with the guy that is responsible for the death of her parents, and they just wanted Angela to ID him, and Angela wanted to listen to him be executed. And it was her bravery and the fact that she was so callous in that moment that one of the Vietnamese cops gave her badge and said, hey, when you're old enough, come look me up. And that essentially set her on the path to wanting to become a cop. And then in an awesome transition where you zoom into Angela's eyes and it shifts into the glass of the church that Adrian Veidt is in. Again, the directing for this episode is great. You find out that Adrian Veidt has been in a trial for basically an entire year since you saw him 2 episodes ago where he left the planet and sent the message to whatever satellite that was Save Me D. And he eventually ends up being found guilty. Now, what does that mean? Is he gonna get executed? Probably not, because they're not gonna kill Adrian Veidt. But where on the one hand, it seems like finally the Mr. Phillipses and the Miss Crookshanks are finally rebelling against the cruel treatment that Adrian Veidt has been inflicting on them for as long as he's been on this planet. But at the same time, it seems like they're still on his side. They're still calling him master. And then even when one of the Miss Crookshanks was giving her testimony against him, she kind of winked at him in an almost loving way. And they basically said, so long as he followed the one rule, thou shalt not leave, he could do whatever he wanted to them and on this planet, this paradise-like planet. They also mentioned their creator, which again, is it Dr. Manhattan? Is it Lady True? What's the story behind this? And also with that, jumping forward a little bit, you find out in one of my other what the fuck moments, Lady True's daughter isn't actually her daughter. It's a clone of her mother. And the memories that Beyond has been having was her own memories in her previous life. And so Lady True was like, well, she's not actually my mother until she has my mother's memories. And so that's why I've been injecting her own nostalgia into her so she can remember her previous life. I'm about to embark on the greatest moment of my life. I'm about to save the world, and I want both my parents to be there. And so it makes me wonder, is Adrian Veidt actually her father? Because Angela says, well, where's your father? And she's like, he's coming. And so is that perhaps also why she has a statue of Adrian Veidt as an old man? And you got the message that Adrian Veidt created on the moon of Jupiter, Europa, Save Me D. Is D Lady True? And that satellite, was that a Lady True satellite? And now she got the message, and now she's working on getting her father off of that planet? Maybe? So then you get to another what the fuck moment that I had during this episode where I was just like, oh, come on. So Angela's grandmother, June, that you saw from the last episode, she finds out that she even has a granddaughter, and she lost touch with her son because he went off to the Vietnam War. She didn't want him to participate in that. That's what she discovered. Not only did she have a daughter-in-law, but she had a granddaughter. So she goes to Vietnam to get Angela and bring her back home to Tulsa. She also doesn't like the way the orphanage has been treating her, and in almost probably kind of racist way. I'm pretty sure those people are treating Angela a little harshly because she's a little black girl in this world. And they even mentioned there aren't too many people that look like you in Vietnam, but if I take you home to Tulsa, you'll see plenty of people that look like you. And the moment her grandmother puts her in the car to take her to the airport to go to Tulsa, she has a heart attack and dies in front of Angela. I was just like, what the fuck? Like, this girl cannot catch a break in her life. Like, what is going on? And you finally get the reveal of what Senator Keene's master plan is. He's trying to become the next Dr. Manhattan because he says it's so hard being a white man in America right now. And I'm just like, oh, give me a fucking break. Like, you guys still rule the world pretty much. Look at the government. Pretty much everybody in government is white right now. Come on. It's hard being a white man right now. Boo fucking who. And right before you get to one of my biggest what the fuck moments, you see like a little infomercial or whatever that Angela's watching that basically shows that Lady True is the Tony Stark of this world. How she went to and graduated from MIT. Then she bought MIT and she created fusion generators and nostalgia and all this other stuff that she invented, which is why she's now a trillionaire, a multi-trillionaire. Angela follows the thread of the IV type drip that she's attached to, thinking again it leads to her grandfather, wanting to talk to her grandfather, wanting to get more answers from her grandfather. And so she breaks open the door only to find out that it's not connected to her grandfather, but it's connected to an elephant. And I was just like, again, what the fuck? And I'm like, so is she somehow related to that elephant? Or maybe it's because she's trying to get her memories back and the whole trope that elephants never forget. I don't know what the deal with the elephant was. And just like her, I was just as confused and freaked out. I was like, what the hell is this? And so finally, you get to my biggest what the fuck moment of this episode, where Angela, after she rips the IV drip out of her arm, she finds the recordings of all the people that have gone to those Dr. Manhattan booths that you saw in episode 3 that Lori was talking into, that is supposed to transmit a message to Dr. Manhattan on Mars, has an entire database of everything that those people have been praying for. And she tells Angela that, of course, Dr. Manhattan isn't listening, but he isn't listening not only because he doesn't care, but he's not listening because he's not even on Mars. Mars. And something that Will approached her with, which we don't know how Will knows this, she knows that Dr. Manhattan is on Earth and he's in human form, which is a throwback to something that they mentioned in episode 2, I believe, where they was like, oh yeah, Dr. Manhattan is on Earth and he's appearing in the body of a human. And they were like, Dr. Manhattan can't do that. Of course that was going to come back. It's a literary tool which they call Chekhov's gun. And so she mentions that in basically an hour, they're going to capture Dr. Manhattan in his human form, destroy him, and then take on the powers of Dr. Manhattan. And that's why she's like, I'm going to save the world because I'm trying to stop these white supremacists from obtaining that godhood level of power. And Lady True, of course, being shown that she knows everything that's going on, she stops Angela, who's not even that thrown by it, by saying like, I told you Dr. Manhattan's here on Earth in the body of a human being, and you haven't even asked me who that human being was. Throughout this episode, I was just like, wait, is Dr. Manhattan Cal? And I gotta give a shout out to one of my reviewers, Terracotta Kim. If you're listening, you called it. He made a comment under one of my Watchmen reviews by saying, I think Cal is Dr. Manhattan. And me being completely naive, I was like, while I do believe something is up with Cal because they're giving too many allusions to like his accident and him not remembering things, something's definitely up with Cal, but I don't think he's Dr. Manhattan. You get to this episode, no, Cal is Dr. Manhattan. So Terracotta Kim, you definitely called that. So bravo to you. You get all the cookies for this review. So she rushes home. You see the 7th Cavalry outside of her house. She confronts Cal saying like, you've been a great husband, I love you, but it's time for you to step out into the tunnel. So in some form or fashion, Dr. Manhattan molded himself into a human being, and so that he wouldn't repeat the same mistakes that he had with Lori, I'm assuming, he made himself human, and he made himself forget his godhood. And so, in order to release the god that he once was, Angela has to kill the man. And it ends with the greatest line ever. Hey baby, we're in fucking trouble. And I was like, what the fuck? And so now with this reveal, I'm like, I have so many questions. Like, I thought Dr. Manhattan was done with humanity. I thought he was leaving. I thought he wasn't interested in them anymore. But I guess the saying is, once you go black, you never go back. Like, he's like, in all the years that I've been alive, I never had a black woman, to the point that he even made himself into a human just so he could be with Angela. And I'm just like, dang, I feel bad for Lori. She's sitting here diddling herself with a Dr. Manhattan penis replica. Meanwhile, the real Dr. Manhattan is actually here on Earth, giving it to this woman, this black woman. And part of me is like, I guess it now makes sense why Lori has been so attracted to Cal. And she's like, your husband Cal, oh my God, he's so hot. Even going back to a moment where Cal and Lori first met, and he's looking at her, he's like, do I know you? And now I'm like, the animosity between Angela and Lori makes even more sense on Angela's standpoint because Lori is her husband's ex-girlfriend. But I'm just like, next week can't get here quick enough because you see in the previews for next week's episode, you get the origin of Dr. Manhattan, still played by Yahya Abdul-Mateen, coming back to Earth and essentially falling in love with Angela. This episode had me in stitches. I was just like, but goddamn, this series is proven to be just fucking phenomenal. Like, every single episode just goes in places that I would never expect for this show to go. But I know one thing, when we get to next week's episode, if I don't see Yahya Abdul-Mateen in the blue makeup and I see his ass and his dick swinging back and forth as Dr. Manhattan, I'm going to be very disappointed. But anyway, I would definitely give this episode a blockbuster. So have you seen Watchmen episode 7? What did you think about it? Let me know down in the comment section below. Also, if you can't hit that thumbs up button and like this video to really help out the channel. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, please check out the other videos on my channel. And if you like what you see, please subscribe for more and hit that bell notification button so you're alerted every single time I post a new video. And tell your friends, families, and neighbors about my channel to help me continue to grow. And as always, I'll catch you guys next time.